You're watching the VMware vSphere Power CLI training course from TrainSignal. I'm your instructor, Hal Rotenberg. The title of this short lesson is Getting Started with VMware vSphere Power CLI Training. What we're going to be talking about is Power CLI. First, I'm going to go into why you should learn Power CLI. Then I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, and we'll wrap up with an expanded table of contents explaining the videos to come. So the question on the table is, why learn Power CLI? I would put it to you this way. If you repeat it, script it. This is a great habit, and it will lead to an improvement in the rigor and the thinking, the planning and steps involved with any change to your environment. If you're going to automate your environment, which I strongly encourage that you do, you need to put it down on paper. Now, for an engineer, that doesn't mean necessarily writing a Word document. Scripting is a documentation, and it can support your automation. And the act of scripting your environment, the act of automating all the changes in your environment, will turn you into a better engineer. So a few points in addition. A good system administrator is lazy. So I think that this is self-evident because I'm lazy, but just to drive the point home a little bit, the less work that you do, the more efficient you have been. Now, of course, you do have to have output. So when we're talking about you've got to get a job done, if you can do it more quickly, that's better for everybody. So lazy is the key word. Lazy is the mindset that you need to have in order to want what I'm going to be teaching you. So with that said, this is going to make your job easier. You're going to want to do this because the end result is you'll have less work to do. The scripting, the reason that I like getting into it is because you get to see at sort of a fine level of detail the things that you're doing, and then you hit one button and it happens. So that thinking in advance is really instructive in itself, but by the time you get down to actually making the change, it's easy, it's done, it's over. The act of scripting something will help you to reduce human errors. If you're making changes using a graphical user interface, especially when you can think about stacking lots of changes up together that are similar, say that you want to power on 10 virtual machines or power off, reboot 15 virtual machines. The clicks of your mouse in that graphical interface are, first of all, they can be time consuming, but second of all, you could click in the wrong place. You could reboot the wrong system. So the act of scripting will turn this into something that is manageable, something that you can look at, and then before you make it go, you can review it and then say, yes, that is the change that I want to make, and then the computer will make that change. Lastly, it can save you time and money. So after you have gotten to a comfortable level of proficiency with a scripting language such as Power CLI, you'll see what I mean. You'll feel a lot better about changes that you have to make, about day-to-day operations, and you'll find that you're able to do them more quickly. And of course, time is money, so you'll save those by improving your skills at a scripting language like Power CLI. And lastly, scripting is kind of impressive. Do you think that your boss is going to be more impressed that you're able to click a mouse, or they're able to write in a very detailed manner in a scripting language the changes that are going to be made and plan it out to the nth degree and then make it happen very quickly? So I think that that's the better career path, and that's what I hope that you get out of it. So just a couple of words about myself. I've been in system administration and engineering for over 13 years, worked in large enterprises such as Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Home Depot, and I really had a lot of fun doing things and starting things hands-on. So I didn't start out scripting. I found scripting, and I found that it was very valuable. I was probably 7-8 years into my career of choice here before I figured out, wow, there's another way to do this. One thing that I did over the course of learning, and writing a book is definitely a learning experience, was I wrote the book Managing VMware Infrastructure with Windows PowerShell, and that's by Sapien Press. It was a bit of a travail to write the book. It was a long process, but I learned a lot while writing it, and it was the first book on Power CLI. I think a lot of people got a lot of good things out of it. So that was a great experience for myself. Along the way, I earned awards from both Microsoft and VMware, been a PowerShell MVP since 2008, and a VMware vExpert since the beginning of that program in 2009. So that's enough about me. Let's talk about the course. What we're going to be getting into, it's going to start off with a lesson about my laboratory setup, so that if you want to recreate some of the things that you see me doing in the video lesson, you'll be able to do so and you'll understand a little bit about my lab. We're going to talk about an introduction to PowerCLI, and I'll show you how to install it. I'll show you some of the core concepts, and we'll talk about how it works, how it connects to your vSphere environment, and so on. Then I'm going to tell you enough about PowerShell that you'll be able to get in at the ground floor and run. So this is not a 5-day course in PowerShell, which I do recommend you checking out. There are a couple around, but I'm going to give you enough so that you'll be able to immediately hit the ground running. And then the rest of these videos, starting with managing vSphere hosts with PowerCLI, are an expansion of a topic with a focus on the commandlets. And I'll talk about commandlets later, but task-based, high-level pieces of, they're similar to executables in PowerShell, and that's what VMware is providing to you with PowerCLI. So I go into a great detail with each of these topics, showing you many demonstrations, starting off with hosts, and then we work with virtual machines, virtual networks, storage, talk about high availability and clustering with PowerCLI, and how to manage vCenter itself with PowerCLI. And the last one is a bit of a deep dive into a subject that I hold dear, and that is reporting with PowerCLI. So I hope you enjoy the course.